Why, hello there! Today is a Friday and you have come across this video because you're probably curious on how to create a resin countertop. I don't know how you found this video, it's pretty random, but if you're planning to redo an old countertop and make it look fancy but on a budget, you've come to the right place. So my name is Kira, this is the channel of Kira Made This, where I make a bunch of random different things or recreate them. And today what I'm going to be working on is a marble resin countertop. It's not actual marble, that's the best part, but it'll look like real marble once I'm done. So what I'm going to start off with today is I am going to sand down the entire countertop with my handy dandy orbit sander, and then after I've dusted all that dust off, I am going to put the primer on, seal it up, and do a little bit of painting here and there, some artiste touches. And finally, the best part, I'm going to be taking my butane torch and torching it up with resin. It sounds really complex the way I'm talking about it, but don't you worry, I've got a great tutorial for you, so stay tuned, keep watching, and I'm going to walk you through all of the necessary steps to turn your kitchen into a bougie kitchen on a budget. First things first, you want to clean your countertops off and plastic wrap and tape up anything that you don't want covered in paint. I put a lot of plastic around because the resin can get very sticky and messy. Next up is sanding the countertop. This is really important because it helps the primer adhere to the countertop surface. As you can see, I am using an orbit sander. This is more efficient, it's just a lot quicker than hand sanding it. Just don't be like me and forget the attachable bag that catches the dust. I forgot to put that on, and then I ended up having to clean up all the dust by myself. Now that the countertop has been sanded down, you see me wiping it one last time to get all of that all of the dust and dirt off. And then next I'm priming. So the key with applying the primer is that you don't want to roll the roller in one straight direction. You kind of want to zigzag it around so that the paint is more smooth. It doesn't leave like these streaky lines. So yeah, that's my tip, is just zigzagging it in different directions while you paint, and don't put too much paint on the roller so it doesn't get all I can't English today. It doesn't get all blotchy. Next up is the marbling time. This one's a lot of fun, especially for me because I love painting and experimenting different painting styles. So as you can see, I'm dragging across my paintbrush with the paint, and you take the spray bottle, and what happens with that is after the water touches the marbling, it breaks the paint down into this really cool broken effect. You can take a sponge and just dab it a little bit to see what would look more realistic. I really did like using the sponge because it added like a really cool texture to it, the texture you'd find in natural marble. I was also asked to put some tints of teal / turquoise in, so you see me throwing those in there along with the gray. And my gosh, this was just so much fun, but a very tedious process. Like, you are not only dabbing, you're marbling, and you're spraying. So it's like a rinse repeat cycle for a couple of times before you might be happy with what you have. So just play around with it. Like, I wasn't completely happy with it the first time, so I did multiple layers until I was satisfied with the results.
create art, and we're also going to create opportunity in our community.
So we've reached the most fun, but also the hardest part of this type of kitchen renovation, and that is the resin. The reason why it's so difficult is because it is like the hardest chemistry class / lab you'll have to take. The measurements have to be accurate. The temperature has to be accurate. Your precision also has to be accurate. Because if even one of those things are messed up, you've just wasted $100. So I'm going to show you how to do this right and how not to mess it up like I have done 3 times before this. So let's go. Hi everyone. This is going to be the part where I'm mixing together the resin, a very important part of this whole process because, as I've mentioned before, if you F this up, you F up the whole project. So here we go. I'm going to take my resin bottles and open them up first. That is the first step. The hard part about mixing together the epoxy and the hardener is that once you've mixed it, you only have 30 minutes to cover your entire countertop with it. I'm trying to analyze right now how I'm doing this too. I'm just gonna go full force. Okay. So what you want to start off with is A plus B equals the beautiful mix that you're going to need. So I'm just chopping this off. It's going to be a very sticky mess in here, like it always is. I am just dumping it all in. I don't know if you guys can see, but this is all of it. And you want it to be 50-50, this whole thing. Honestly, I had to speed up this part because the resin was taking a lot longer to pour out. So this is a thing to bear in mind, that it is a very nerve-wracking thing, the measurement / ratio part, because this is the make or break moment. So if you do decide that even after all the stuff that you've seen in the video, it excites you, please keep in mind this is the most important part. You've got to get it right or the whole thing is screwed up after. Pouring it all in. I'm going to mix it around actually. That way. No, it's spreading nice and even. This one's pouring over. When I was talking about how I only had 30 minutes to do all the countertops, what I meant by that is that the resin actually begins to harden within 30 minutes. So it takes 24 hours to fully cure, but within 30 minutes, you can't actually move around the mixture anymore. So you really have to keep an eye on the time and make sure you blow out all of the air bubbles and smoothen the surfaces before the clock strikes 30 minutes, because after that you're done. You got to leave it alone, let it dry properly, and make sure you don't touch it or it screws up the surface of it.
Next up, we've got the torching part. So take a butane torch and use it to take out the air bubbles, as the resin will most likely have some air bubbles. You want to just make sure that you don't hold it too close to the countertop. That way it only takes out the bubbles and doesn't move the resin around too much. For the first 3 hours of the resin drying, you want to make sure you take a putty knife and you are wiping away the excess resin that is dripping downwards from any edges, just to make sure it doesn't dry in that position. During the first hour, you also want to be able to rip off the tape so that it doesn't dry into the resin. And here we are, the finished product. I was quite happy with the results. It was a very glossy finish with all the air bubbles blown out, and for the most part, it looked pretty good to me. Could this pass as real marble? Would you be fooled? Let me know what you thought in the comments.
And if you liked what you saw today, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I am going to be slowly but surely uploading lots of content related to home DIYs, art, painting, you name it, I've got it. So please feel free to share the love and I will reciprocate.